This is BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.
9 minutes past 5. Now, new figures out today, as you heard in the news, reveal a worrying rise in crime figures for this county. Sexual offences up 55%. Violence up 44%. Violence with injury up 33%. The police and the PCC, Sir Graham Bright, have both issued statements saying the increases are a result of more people feeling able to report crime. Both have refused invitations to appear on this programme to talk more about it this evening, but I will be talking in a moment to a former PCC candidate who is prepared to talk to me, and a blogger and campaigner who's been looking in detail for some time at those crime figures. But let's get more detail now. Our reporter Kate Lamble. Kate.
Chris, there's been a sharp rise, as you say, in the number of sexual offences reported to Cambridgeshire Police. That's a jump of 55%. Figures released today by the Office for National Statistics also show violent offences have increased by around 40%. The figures show over 1,000 sexual offences were reported to Cambridgeshire Police in the 12 months to September 2014. The rise is part of a national trend, with most police forces seeing an increase in recorded offences, although Cambridgeshire's figures are much higher than the national average of 22%. Two other force areas saw big rises. South Yorkshire and Durham saw rises of 72% in reported sexual offences. So why the jump? Well, many people are citing a greater confidence among victims, more willing to come forward in the light of high-profile cases involving Jimmy Savile and Rolf Harris. Closer to home, and there have been some notable cases involving child sex attacks in Peterborough. Following two high-profile trials involving gangs of men, we're led to believe more arrests could be in the offing in the coming months. Other crime figures for Cambridgeshire which have been released today include public order offences up 32%, vehicle offences down 13%, and drug offences are down 16%. Responding to today's figures, Cambridgeshire Police say we've seen an increase in the confidence of victims reporting crime in the county. This is in part due to communications campaigns alongside national media coverage of the importance of reporting historical sexual offences.
Thank you, Kate. Also, we had a statement from Sir Graham Bright, the Police and Crime Commissioner, saying neither he nor his deputy able to come on the programme. He says, as PCC, I've made a commitment to keeping people safe, and the constabulary has responded targeting specific areas of crime. By listening to victims and responding to people's concerns, we've seen the public become more confident in reporting crimes, and these figures reflect that. Let's get first analysis now from Richard Taylor, blogger and campaigner. Richard, do you buy this excuse, this reason? Are you celebrating the fact that crime figures are going up?
Well, I think it's always very difficult to make sense of police crime statistics and police statistics on recorded crime, because what the police are saying is it's right. When people have more confidence in the police, then they will be happier to report crime. And actually in Cambridgeshire we've seen campaigns, particularly around domestic violence, encouraging people to report crime, and councillors have actually been saying that they want to see the reported crime figures rise, particularly in that area of domestic violence. That's the target they've been setting our local police. So I think what there is a chance that what the police and the Police and Crime Commission are saying is true, but really they should be on here to answer questions about the detail and to defend their point of view.
And we'd also like to know if they've specifically asked victims if they've come forward as a result of all of this. It also asks the question, or begs the question, what about previous performances by the police, and why didn't people feel able to come forward? Let's bring in Paul Bullen, who is leader of the UKIP group on the County Council. He was a candidate in the PCC election 2 years ago, and he's standing at the general election for UKIP in Huntingdon. Hello, Paul.
Good evening, Chris.
So your reaction to, first of all, to these new figures?
I think they're terrible. They really are. We've campaigned within my party and me personally for more police on the streets. A visible police presence deters crime. It's a fact. It's known all over the world. And yet we continue to take our police off the streets, to put them in cars, to put them in their offices. 2/3 of the working day is spent by a police officer in the office filling in paperwork. That's absolutely ridiculous. If he was out on the streets deterring crime, he wouldn't have to do the paperwork in the first place. The other problem is the criminal justice system itself. We are now seeing more and more out-of-court disposals. People are not going to court for committing crimes. They're not being punished. They're being given conditional cautions, and cautions are walking free.
So Cambridgeshire Constabulary tell us it's because there's more confidence. Victims are able to report crime where they couldn't before, and they say they're backed up by the Association of Chief Police Officers. So you simply don't believe them?
No, I don't believe them, because what they're not taking into consideration now, and they're not reporting, is the plethora of out-of-court disposals which don't even go on the statistics.
Richard Taylor?
Well, I think overall today's crime statistics nationally are a good news story. Overall, crime is down, and the National Crime Survey, which doesn't look at recorded crime, doesn't look at the police statistics, but just looks at interviewing a sample of people, is that's showing that crime is down. These particular statistics on rape and sexual offences are where there is a blip. But I'm surprised that we haven't got our Police and Crime Commissioner on this evening to defend himself. Paul Bullen saying that we need to see more police on the streets. Actually, our Police and Crime Commissioner has managed to keep police officer numbers up and PCSO numbers up. We've had reducing budgets, but he's not here to defend himself. It's a surprise. Like, I don't normally defend the Police and Crime Commissioner, but he's actually got a reasonable record on keeping our police numbers up.
Well, when we found the figures out this afternoon, we had to go looking for them. They weren't put out to us by the Crime Commissioner or the police force, I should say. We had to go and find them. We asked for him to come on. We got a statement saying neither he nor his deputy able to come on this programme this evening. Of course, he's come on to talk about other things in the past. But he said, in spite of the increases, Cambridgeshire crime rates remain lower than the national average for all violence against the persons and in line with the national average for sexual offences. Paul Bullen, I suppose it's easy for you to say, but would you have trumpeted this today and been here to answer the questions?
Of course I'd be here. He's an elected politician, basically, and he should be here to answer the public who elected him. To actually say that I'm not available to talk to the public about these statistics is wrong. These statistics are extremely important, and the public are worried about crime, and especially violent crime. Now, I hear what Richard was saying about sexual crime, and I do believe that within the domestic environment there is a lot of sexual crime, and a lot of people are coming forward now, and that will up the numbers a little bit. But the amount of violent crime that is happening in our streets now, and you can see it on a Friday or Saturday night in most times, and there is no police presence. Now, that police presence on the streets, I'm not talking about the overall amount of police, because we already know they spend a lot of time in the police station completing paperwork. If they were physically on the streets when these crimes are committed, I don't think the crimes would be committed in the first place. And personally, I'd like to see a deterrent. I'd like to see our police deterring crime rather than actively go and find the criminals once the crime.
We have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us. That's Paul Bullen, leader of UKIP on the County Council, and also Richard Taylor, blogger and campaigner. And there'll be more on this on the Breakfast Show tomorrow morning with Dottie McLeod. I'm sure the invitation to Sir Graham Bright will remain open, and his deputy, if they'd like to go on that programme and respond to these figures. This is Drive Time.